Let's get this guy out of here. Do not need it. Hopefully, I'm sure it's creeping through, but I'm on a vibrating pad. I love these things. Keep the blood flow in your legs. It also shakes everything. I gotta turn it off. Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe it's a muscle imbalance, but I can't like just stand on one leg unless I'm on a vibrating pad. I always stand on one leg like a flamingo. If you're familiar with flamingos, pink bird. Cool. So what we're up to is so part of the feedback from the show HN was I don't want to specify XY positions for everything. And then the answer to that is, of course, auto layout. But for PCBs, it's a lot of finagling to get it done. And I think what people would rather do, at least in some contexts, is to manually do the work for sub-circuit fan-outs and then have auto routing connect different things together. So today, I'm going to do PCB editing for sub-circuit fan-outs. That's what this dev session is about. Maybe we find out something from YC during this, but you know, who knows? Who knows, right? So they usually tell you the results in the evening. Game Blog 1, hello, welcome. I might actually take a second to get my chat actually on stream. Is it worth it? Maybe it's not worth it. It takes me like 20 minutes to set up. Sorry, Twitterers. I'm not going to see anything you say. Okay, so there's kind of two parts to this. I am good. I'm ready for some productivity. I got a big to-do list. I'm ready to just yeet through it. How is streaming? What a interesting question. How is streaming? Streaming is great. This stream is 40 seconds in. So, oh, actually it's 2 minutes. I've somehow wasted 2 minutes on just talking to myself and a little bit of game blog, anyway, so edit mode. There's conventionally, I think, two types of editing that you might do. And the most important thing is that we just get some kind of editing in. We definitely want to use a good interface and hotkeys and all of that, but you can move footprints and then you can draw traces. So those are the two modes, and people usually switch between them with hotkeys. So we're going to implement both of those modes, starting with footprint dragging. I'm a game blogger with over 37,000 subscribers that writes about games and streamers. That's awesome. Although it may seem like game development, I build B2B SaaS software, which is, it's kind of like a heroic. I'm confident it will attract more viewers. Viewers, it's not a huge goal for me. I know I'm coming out of left field here, but my I exist more to be available. You know what I mean? It's more of an office hours kind of vibe. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm the most entertaining person. Probably my stream is for like less than 1% of people. 1% of people. So, but anywho, let's get these edit events going. You can do it on you can always edit on any PCB until I add the flag, maybe to disable it. What's going to happen is we're going to do an overlay, and when you drag a component while you're in the mode, what it'll do is it will send out an edit event, and then we'll apply all the edit events to the soup. The reason why this is cool is because if the soup updates, the soup is our underlying data structure representing the positions of everything. If it updates, we have this cool opportunity to like reapply the events in the right order. So this way you can kind of have a background update. Camera transforms aren't saved to local storage right now, so that's also going to be a problem. The camera's going to like jolt if there's an actual refresh, but it should be very nice in this storybook. We shouldn't have any problem. Game blog, you're welcome to blog about me, and everything I say here is public, but I do not need I'm not trying to grow. Yeah. Look. I'm here with an open door kind of thing. If people like it, they stick around. You know, it's great. We chat, but you know, hyper growth, engagement baiting, not so much my style. Not so much my style. All right, let's get into it. So first I'm gonna add an edit button to this toolbar here. I don't know where it is. Toolbar overlay. All right, let's do it. Toolbar overlay. Yeah, so we got toolbar buttons. Let's copy this out. Yeah, you know, like live streaming is very, very fun. I've gotten a lot out of it. It's definitely more fun with more audience, but at the end of the day, I'm startup machine, you know? It's what I'm doing. You know, you can't distract it too much. Can't distract it too much. You can distract it a little bit. You can have some fun, but you know, you can't distract it too much. Toolbar, let's see. We got errors. Okay, so I think I need inspiration. Let's look at the classic Eagle EDA wire mode. I don't know what it's going to be called. I wish I had some of this software installed on this computer. I don't right now. But let's find some inspiration. I can't remember. Eagle's really old too. Like Eagle is not the cream of the crop. But why is that so low? Do me better. Come on. What do I got to do to get a screenshot around here? We're trying to figure out how other people do this. And I can do that by looking at their toolbars, I think. This is like spice analysis stuff, which is awesome, but not related. We got some zooming. Yeah, I think probably in here somewhere. So that looks like moving footprints around. That looks like, I don't know what that is, traces? That almost looks like swap pins. That looks like a pin editor. I'm not sure. You know, with the thing they do with traces, and this is pretty smart too, is you can switch modes by clicking on a port. Or yeah, actually no, this is, what am I doing? This is schematic editor. Sorry, I forget. They're super similar in some ways. But schematic editors are a lot easier. Everything's a lot more clear. You're not likely to click on something on another layer. So Eagle PCB editor. Let's take a look at that. See if we can deduce what these guys are doing here. Basically unreadable. Let's try this. That looks higher resolution. At some point, I will stop being lazy and install this. But Eagle's a little bit deprecated. I think there's better sources of inspiration nowadays. I think this might be trace. They've got a bunch of stuff. That's add footprint. That might be resized. That'd be weird. That's label. That's value. Why would you change value in this view? There's so many legacy features. This one's definitely trace. I think it's fine. It'd be pretty cool if you didn't have to like click a button in the toolbar to do any of this, but I think hacking it for now is fine. You can always change the toolbar later. All right, let's do it. Div. What do we want to call this? Just do edit traces for now. Let's see how that looks. That looks terrible for some reason. I was told that at Meta, they have a titling convention like that where, you know, it's like first thing capitalized, nothing else capitalized. And I can dig it. Looks a little weird to me. Looks a little too weird to me. I'm going to do edit traces and then move components. Just keep it simple. It's a little cluttery. I get why they use icons. I get it. I don't hate it though. I don't like it. I don't hate it though. All of this is going to get revised in time. The hard part is actually doing the overlay. Um, so let's see. Yeah. You know what else would be cool is if each of these edit events had an edit event ID. That would allow us to, let's give it an edit event ID, make it a string. That'll allow us to like have one that we're passing up and we can kind of mutate it. And if that executes fast enough, because it is, I don't know how well, I know that like other tools tend to slow down when you have a lot of footprints and stuff. I want to be pretty cautious of that, but I still feel like it'll probably work out if we edit the event. Because I was thinking like sometimes old editors used to do this thing where you would move kind of like a red square around each component instead of moving the component itself. Anyway. This has everything we need to do it. So we have this function here, apply edit event. That's going to be a little bit of a boring part. And then there's the actual creation of the edit event. And then we need to do the overlay. Maybe, what do I want to start with? Could start with the overlay. It's pretty easy. Could start with the overlay. And then do the edit events after. Do the edit events first. Let's apply the edit events because it's boring and we'll get it out of the way and life will be a little bit better. Get the boring stuff out of the way. All right. Let's go for each edit event of edit events. If it's edit component location, find the component. If component.center equals new center. That's perfect. The only thing is it doesn't clone the soup. I think that could lead to issues if you don't clone the soup. So let's do this. Let's say soup equals, and let's do, this is a tough choice actually to do a lazy clone or a fast clone. I'm going to do a really lazy clone, deep clone right now. Probably regrettable, especially as that gets big, but so surprisingly, this is like a little bit insecure, if I remember correctly. Like if you have untrusted user data, but I think it's actually the fastest, weirdly enough, stringifying and parsing, just because it goes down to C or whatever, and so there's no JavaScript. Kind of in the loop there, really. Just 2 calls as opposed to like, you know, whatever library is trying to do fancy things. It has many calls. Who knows? Soup. Okay. Apply edit events, return new soup. That was easy. AI basically wrote the whole thing. Okay, so we've applied the edit events. Let's do the overlay. So we have all these other overlays. For example, the dimension overlay. If I press D, it doesn't work in Storybook. But if I press D, I can measure things out. That's a pretty cool new feature. I'm a big fan of that because I always want to see the distance between 2 objects. So we can use this. Let's see how readable this code is if we want to use it. There's a lot of, it's pretty complicated because there's a lot of transforms here, but I do think that this is going to be pretty similar to what we're doing. There's an overlay, there's an SVG overlay to draw this line. Okay, that's this part. Ooh, that's this part. SVG overlay. Okay, fine. Yeah, okay. Looks pretty straightforward. We have a key bind right here. So basically what this does is you have a container. You render your children, which is everything else, everything below the overlay. And then if your tool is visible, then you can render out your tool stuff. And all the transforms are just to translate from the projected space into the into the screen space. I don't know what to call the physical space to screen space, because this is physical space, I guess, because it's millimeters and all that. So, okay, fine, makes sense. Let's see, toolbar dimension overlay. So let's see, what do we want to call this thing? Could call it drag overlay. Could call it footprint. Let's call it edit overlay. Let's see how much we regret that. You know, editing components is quite different than editing traces. I don't know if we want them together, but I'll do edit overlay for now. We'll see if we regret it. It's all about direction of minimum regrets. You know, there's a couple ways to think of it. You know, direction of least risk, direction of least regrets. That could definitely lead to two different lives. Children looks good. I'm going to copy this progressively so I don't copy too much crap. Edit overlay. Did some yoga today. It's fantastic. Very chill. When you sit all day, or stand, I guess I'm standing, but still your knees are locked up, you know, there's no perfect position. You gotta do yoga, stretch it all out. Get those hip flexors, you know, make them work. I don't know. The other nice thing about yoga is it coaxes you to sitting with yourself in silence, which at one point in 2019 or 2020 was like impossible for me to just sit in silence with myself. I had to be reading or doing something. But I read a book on Zen Buddhism, and then I was like, wow, it is literally impossible for me to meditate, and that is a bad place to be. Edit tool visible. Do we want this? Do we need this? It's kind of copying this. I'm trying to think, what is this thing I'm gonna do? You know what I mean? What does this look like? I think you turn edit mode on. That makes sense to me. And then maybe it shows everything you can drag in a box for the current layer in a big box. So we draw a big box around each component, kind of like these red ones. Does that make sense? Is that too cluttered? Does it, like, do you really need to show that? Can't you just have it so that things are draggable? I think we should draw boxes at first because it'll make life easier. Because we can know that the math is working. So we'll do a div. We'll drop our children into there. We need to give this thing some props. Position, relative. That'll make everything inside of it. I think the dimension tool does this too. You know what I'll do? I'll be kind to viewers. I'll put the code below. So instead of hopping back and forth, it's like a car. When you're in a car and you're riding shotgun, because you don't know what the car is going to do exactly, especially if you're like, you know, your eyes are closed or something, you get a little sicker, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen. But if you're the driver, you don't get sick because you kind of know what's going to happen. You kind of know what you're doing with the car. You know you're about to turn it right. Container refs. Let's use them. Love a good container ref. We'll use that to, I don't know. But I think, what do we use the container ref for? Container ref. We definitely use it. We use it to get the container. Why do we need the, oh, to get the bounds. Okay. Why do we need the bounds? I'm not sure why we need the bounds yet. Okay, and then just to make sure that this is working, we will create a box. We'll say hello world. And then we'll position that inside our container here. I think I know why we need the bounds. The PCB viewer can be anywhere on a page, and you want it to be aligned properly. So I think that's to get the bounds, because when you do the transform, I think you need it for some reason. When you translate into screen space. I'm not 100%. What do you use? Container bounds. What is that used for? Maybe I'm wrong. It's just to give the SVG an overlay. I think we might use an SVG. I think we might use divs instead of an SVG, actually. We'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows where the night takes us? As I say all the time on my month-long benders. That's it. All right. What am I talking about? It's not appearing because we haven't rendered the edit overlay into our big like context providers, or there's some object that's going to have all of these overlays in it. Yeah, here we go. So we got our error overlay, we got all these overlays. So we just need to drop this guy in somewhere. I think the order of the overlays determines... actually, yeah, it can determine... I don't know. Error overlay. I don't know what's most important. Toolbar overlay. I don't know. Let's do this. The edit overlay is going to need the soup. I think some other things need it too. It's called elements for some reason. Should I keep that convention or should I fix it? Because everywhere else it's called soup. We can fix it. We can fix it. You know, some of these projects are a little old, and I wasn't so strict about the naming, but now I am. I've changed. I'm a different person. Very strict about naming. Import. Yeah, it looks good. Let's make that import type. And I was expecting to see something, but maybe we make this text like white. There we go. Okay, so we have our overlay. Our overlay is kind of on a fixed position. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah, hello world. It's there. It is there. Step 2, we need to figure out, well, we need to draw boxes over each of these components. So I think the easiest way to do this is probably with a bunch of boxes using the transform. I think when you translate to screen space, it's screen space relative to this container. So I do think well, yeah, no, actually we might not need the container bounds. I'm going to draw them as divs. I'm going to draw divs over these, and I will not, I don't know, I might turn the cursor events off, I might not. For now, I'm just going to say that this thing's always on, the edit overlay, which will break things later, but there's some pretty good React dragging libraries that are really code efficient, but I don't think they'll properly drag this thing, so I might not use them, but we can take a quick look. I think I saw some cross-platform drag and drops the other day. I'm very familiar with React D&D. It's been a little while, but wow, they didn't make this draggable. Missed opportunity. I feel like this probably isn't a good fit. Everything else is kind of low level. This probably doesn't make sense to go high level just for that one component. Yeah, let's stay low level. I'm gonna do a quick bathroom break though. Back in 5 sign. You know, I'm chugging water over here. All right. There we go. Okay, be right back. All right, refreshed, ready to go. I wonder too. Nah, I'm not gonna adjust it. All right, let's do it. Okay. So what we're gonna do is iterate over each soup element, filter out to components, then use the transform to get the screen space place where that component goes and draw a box there. Sounds complicated. It's gonna be super easy because once you use matrices, life is better. What? I figured out why these types were garbage the other day. You have to install Zod as a dev dependency to the project, or else Zod types aren't interpreted. There we go. Just like that. I was just like struggling with this thing. I was like, Zod, why aren't you breaking down these types for me? It might have something to do with the compilation process with the other repos, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like it now. Thank you, random internet person who I forgot. I didn't even upvote them. I forgot. I was like, huh. Okay, hopefully that narrows. Let's see, did it? It narrow. No, it didn't narrow. Sad. Sad, sad, sad. So because it didn't narrow, we'll do this. And we'll say PCB component. We'll say E is PCB component. Nice, much better. And then we'll render out a div here. It's given me a pretty big thing here, but unfortunately it is wrong. But I like it. It's a good start. So this is going to be PCB component ID because I always have full prefixes for IDs, which I think is a lifesaver personally. And then we're going to want to apply the transform to the points, and it's like e.center. So these are wrong, and we'll want to scale, I think, the width of the component too by the matrix's A portion. So you have A and D, your X and Y scale of your matrix, and in this case the D is flipped negative because Y is flipped, because in this goes up positively, but that's not how websites work. Websites work oppositely. Y goes down, so it goes 1, 2, 3, which is a little bizarro if you think about it. You know, you spend all of school learning about your Cartesian coordinates, and then get to web development and they just flip it on you, and then everybody just does it. Nobody questions it. But for engineering tools, I did a whole thread, and it turns out it's much better to not do that. Okay, so e.center transform. So that is the projected center. I actually think this might be, we might have to invert the matrix first. I think this is probably the wrong order. Is that right? Yeah. I probably need to invert this first. Let's set the width to 5, height to 5, and then we'll be able to test out if it properly did it. But it's easy. Once you're using matrices, you're in happy land, you know? Wow, that worked. Look at that. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. How easy that was to project from screen space into, or to project from physical space into screen space. That's why you use matrices. They rock. Underutilized. I learned another trick the other day, which is pretty cool. If you do transform and then you do, yeah, exactly, translate, you can center something. So we can actually make the left and top. This will actually be the centered. So I'll say, because of transform, this is actually center, not left / top. And then for the width and height, we just need to project the width of the component if it's in there. I don't think, yeah, it doesn't seem to be computed. Let me check the documentation and just make sure. I mean, I'm sure it's going to say the same thing, but that is unfortunate that it's not pre-computed, because computing that is like not a 2-second operation. It's fine, because, you know, you don't want to store duplicate information, but size, it has size. I missed that. It has size, right? E.size. Why does this not have size? PCB component. Oh, it's schematic component. Wow, this is minimal. So the builder format, or the soup format, is supposed to compute a lot of things for you, because it's supposed to make it pretty easy to draw. So I do kind of want to add that via the builder. Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum. I could compute it, but it would just be a little bit annoying. I think I'd rather have the soup compute it. The only thing that's kind of annoying is it has to be recomputed a lot, and it's tough to say whether it's the applied size, like after you rotate. You know, nobody ever knows the order. So I like to have the things always be literal. So if you're rotated, it's rotated with. But people do get that confused quite often. So the way to figure out the size of the component without that is to measure out all the subcomponents, and it does kind of feel like it'd be better if that was pre-computed inside the builder. So this is where you decide whether to do things right or just kind of try to be unstoppable with your current task and just get it done. I'm thinking I have to write a function to compute the width anyway. It might already exist, but I have to write a function to compute the width anyway, so maybe I just go for it. It's probably worth checking the builder just to make sure there's no mistake. It's not actually on there and I'm missing it. So we'll do this, open up the builder, and then we're going to try to search for a place where this might have been implemented. So actually this is a good file, core types. So let's see, PCB components. Let's actually go to component builder. So this is the thing that constructs all the stuff for a component. Ah, that's schematic. It does look like it should be on the PCB components. Maybe I should just add it. I keep doing song Radiohead. I'm listening to music today. First time. I don't normally do it, but I didn't think anybody would be on a 4 p.m. stream. Everybody's like trying to get their last things done for the day. It's not a great time to hop on live stream. So I'm doing music for myself today, and I don't want to get copyright struck, so nobody else gets it. But anyway, the PCB component should probably compute it here, and then we should probably publish a new version, integrate that into the PCB viewer. I don't think it'll take very long, probably like 5 minutes. So let's figure out where that PCB stuff is done. All right, we're building. Go, go, go. PCB element. Okay. PCB component. Center rotation. Okay. So we configure the footprint. We get the footprint elements. Blah, blah, blah. We set the component ID. And now we're on the schematic. Although we are configuring ports here. Why are we configuring ports here? Match PCB. Okay, that makes sense. I don't think that alters the position. So let's do this. Before this part is particularly a mess of code. The most important thing for TS Circuit is to get the API correct, and then afterwards it's really easy to go in and optimize and do stuff, because you can have spec and test, and it's much easier to do stuff that way. It's much easier to delegate that way. You know, if I write out an API and I show you the behavior, and then I can say, okay, like make it faster. That's easy. That's easy. Getting the API to work is really the annoying part, because it's the part that hasn't been done in any way ever before. So with that said, let's compute a PC element.size the same way we're doing it. I wonder if this method works. That'd be awesome. Footprint elements. Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know if that works. That'd be great. What we can do is we can go into a test and see if it works. They're also complaining, hey, PCB element, we don't have size on here. So we're going to go to this, or we're going to say size is now a thing that you have. And it's going to be a point style object. Size X. Actually, how does schematic do it? Schematic component. Wait. Oh man, it's all over the place. I feel like width and height as top level properties is actually a-okay. So let's do that instead. It's more intuitive. Dimension. How do can I import dimension as a type? So Zod is pretty cool, and it can take import output types. How is that not in common? Size point. I don't know. Units. Dimension. Distance. Length. Call it length. Length. Height. Length. Okay. I really wish I had Coca-Cola right now. A Coke Zero. I drank them all. I'm gonna look for a vitamin water. There's this kid who's talking in a radio room in wet, hot American summer. And he's just kind of, I don't want to spoil anything, but he's talking in this radio room and to the camp. And he's really just talking to himself all the time. And he doesn't shower or anything. Anyway, I feel like that kid all the time. Just going ham for the Sevi radio show. PCB size. All right, let's see. PCB element.width. What am I doing with my units? I've dug into this code enough where I understand my code maybe the least in a lot of ways. I've dug into it a lot, and it is kind of well separated enough where you can figure out what's going on most of the time. So I'm not super worried about this, but this kind of stuff sucks. Abbreviations and non-abbreviations. Variable transparency completely lacking. I don't know. Maybe something to adjust later. Cool. Happy. I'm happy. We're all happy. Transform schematic elements. Doesn't really matter for size. I think it's good. I mean, that's probably going to work. I don't think it's going to work for every type of component. For example, I don't think everything is, yeah, because we have width and height here. We also need to compute. Yeah, this is definitely like, ooh, maybe I should do larger refactor. Does this extend the component builder? This extends the component builder, which makes me think I could probably kind of do like just to start refactoring this out. I can do an internal method and then have the resistor and everything else call that. So you could say compute size of PCB element, have that be a function. We'll do this, and then we'll take in the PCB element, which is a type.pcb component. And then it also wants footprint elements, so we'll do that too. So that makes it a little bit, we'll call this any soup element to avoid the deprecation notice. Compute size of PCB element. I think that's fair. And that way I can start to gradually make the code a little bit better. Because we're going to have to copy and paste a little bit of this because that resistor re-implements some stuff. Unfortunately, it's pretty old. I think resistor was like the first thing I implemented before I thought of the generic way to do it. Did I move this from here? Let's see. PCB element dot width. Yeah, it's the only place. Okay. So dot element. Dot footprint. Yeah. There we go. So right before this, in every file that does this kind of computation, we're gonna do dot compute size of PCB element like that, and that'll make it work. We're gonna have to do this because there's like an annoying legacy conversion thing in here, and that's fine. Just any cast for now. As I switch things to Zod. Okay, we'll do width 0, height 0. Luckily, the type check will catch all these issues. Okay, footprint elements. This is where we push footprint elements, so we'll go ahead and do this. It's kind of funny, the PCB element is directly pushed here. This kind of seems like it could be a function too to kind of reduce the amount of code inside of resistor. The goal is to have all the code inside components eventually, and then deprecate all of these so that, because a resistor shouldn't have like super specific methods. It's higher level than that. What are you complaining about? This is a type PCB component. Yeah, there we go. Stop complaining. Okay, that works. We're gonna get a ton of type errors, but maybe what we can do is just make sure on a test that we've accomplished the goal. So we'll do that. Let's see, tests. Builder, some kind of builder test. Board builder, apply selector. I don't know. We don't have a resistor builder test. We don't even have component builder tests. There's definitely some simple tests in here somewhere. I don't know, let's copy this. Is it related to footprints? Yes. Yeah, it's footprint. So PCB component size.test.tsx. Oh, this I don't know why this is the TSX. There's no TSX in here. Oh, we don't want to create a, I think this is, I'm just gonna rewrite this. I'll just write it from scratch. PCB component size calculation from footprint. I'll say width height, because we said size isn't going to be a property. Very inconsistently with schematic. So there's, for all my projects, I try to have a get test server method, and there should be one, and that should set us up with some stuff we can use. Okay, there should be one. Get test, oh, get test fixture, excuse me. I think it's, if I'm working on a server, it's get test server. Oops. Can't import that? You can do it. Oh, come now. Come now. You know where it is. Get test fixture. Okay. What is going on right now? No help from this autocomplete. Test fixtures, get test fixture. I might not have set up base URL is, oh, base URL is source. That's unfortunate. Yeah. So this project cannot do imports. Absolutely, because I set up that source thing. That's unfortunate. You know, that's fixable. Wait, there's an alias right here. All right, whatever. Why is that alias not working? Let's see what we get out of this. Log soup, project builder, good enough. Project builder dot add, and then we're gonna add a resistor. Resistor builder. So this is like kind of how you can build components without using TSX. If you wanted to use kind of it's an equivalent of a virtual DOM, but for circuits. So let's see what we can do here. Set footprint. I think it should take a string. Yeah, standard footprint. So we'll set it to 0805. It's a classic footprint pattern. Means I think 8 millimeters by 5 millimeters, I think. Definitely. Yeah, you know, let's do, actually, it's a little bit better. It's more React-like to do set props. So let's do that. Although the typing hasn't been working lately for this. I don't really care about the builder's typing. I really only care about the React code typing. I care that the builder is correct, but the usage of the builder I care a little bit less about right now. We don't need any of this. Get out of here. We need a name. It's usually good. You know, that's good enough to do what we need to do. and then we'll build, and then we got some soup. That's all you need. I think you have to await the builder. It's complaining I didn't end it. Boom. Ended. We got some soup. We'll log the soup to the debug server. So PCB component with height calculation. And we don't need to provide it. It's deduced. Actually, you don't even need to give this. You just put in the soup. Forgot how all this worked. And we'll just pass this test for now. So that should work. We'll run that test. Test footprints, PCB, component size test. Go, go, go. Nice. So that uploaded to the debug server. Should be able to do some visual debugging. Or not. This whole thing is broken right now. You know, sometimes that's just how it goes, but we should be able to copy out the soup. Let's open up our scratch pad. What am I looking at? Or this button is broken too. Interesting. Let's look at the network requests. Huh? Soup group name undefined. I'm pretty sure that's not right. It's like the link was broken. Let's try this again. Where does this go? I think the name, because it has a slash in it. Let's do that. It messed up whatever serializes that. Yeah, there we go. So we've created our resistor. This is a debug view. If I go to the PCB renderer, it'll break, of course. I gotta, yeah, there we go. Okay, I don't know why that's broken. That's been broken for a little bit, but it works in the debug viewer. You can see you have a PCB here, and we can hover over this, and we can actually see if this component has width. It looks like width and height was calculated. Width 2.6 millimeters and height 1.2. Which is correct. That looks correct. Yeah. All right. So I think we're done. What we can do is check our soup. So we'll say find element.type is equal to PCB component. And we will check that the width is not that, 2.6, and the height. If it's wrong, we'll know very soon. So we don't have to worry about if it's wrong. We'll know when we go to do other things. 1.2, 1.2. Okay, so this test should pass now, and that's the fix. We're gonna get a bunch of type errors because we have to adjust other components to also compute their size. So lots of work, but shouldn't be too bad. Overheating. Gotta strip some sweaters. Maybe turn on a fan. All right, onward and upward. Test pass. Let's do a quick commit. We'll do a branch. PCB component size. Okay, so working resistor with height calculation for soup, PCB component. Just gonna create that PR, let it sit there. That'll also tell us if our tests are passing, if we wanna make sure it works on CI. Okay, let's do a type check. This should fail. It should give us like 6 or 7 places where we need to adjust it. Yeah, there we go. bug builder. Just have to call that internal method a couple times. So we're going to go down to this part. We're going to give it width 0, height 0. This is why I wanted to isolate it to a function, because then I wouldn't have to keep doing this. I think this is the second time I've done this, so it's probably about time to refactor. Right before we push the elements, we'll call this dot underscore compute size of PCB element. It's complaining about everything. Oh. Okay, looks good. We'll add this to the things we push. Doesn't matter where we push it in this case. PCB component. Yeah, the PCB component is a better name in truth. This one is always going to have some dumb error. Okay, that should fix one of the 6. And then we just need to go through and do the same thing with the other 5. I could start to put this into an internal method. Debating. Let's do it. If we're gonna repeat ourselves 10 times, we might as well make a little bit of progress on this refactor. So the kind of objective is to gradually reduce all the builders using these internal methods, and then eventually I'll rewrite them in a different format where you kind of don't have a class and you just give the very specific things you're overriding. But that's gonna, yeah, but it takes time. So one step at a time. Let's see, component builder. Create PCB component. This is going to take some parameters, but I don't know which parameters yet. Yeah, type dot PCB components, weird casing. I think these are the 2 parameters it's going to take. Let's do it as an object. I feel like it's slightly cleaner. This is kind of a repetitive reconstruction. I'll do this. Always a tough call to know if it's good to destructure or not. Nobody's anal about that, though, in the same way people have been anal about other things. Let's add the build context as a second parameter. That's kind of a good idea for the future, too. To have a... I like context as a second parameter. It's really nice. It's really nice. You can do some really basic poor man's DI stuff that way. Okay, create PCB component. So now where we create the PCB element, we do this dot create PCB component, build context as second parameter. This gives source and PCB component ID. Okay, cool. And we'll refactor this out. Nice. Okay. A little bit simpler. So now we can copy this basically exactly into all the components. Assuming there's no super custom behavior anywhere. But I'm pretty sure they're all the same. Yeah, we'll change the name of this for consistency. PCB component. Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe a test will fail from all of this. We're changing a lot, but so we do this, and then we got to make sure we push this down here because we remove the push, and then we're gonna do this dot compute size of PCB element like that. We can also do TS expect error instead of as any, because eventually that deprecation will be fixed, but I think it's fine. Let's see, bug builder, capacitor builder, component builder. What else do we have here? Ground builder it's upset about. Ground builder really isn't a super functional component at the moment. Yeah, PCB component. And then the footprint elements need to be built separately. I don't even think they're, well, I don't know. Maybe this works. This is also a very good thing to kind of have outsourced to an internal function. Okay, yeah, footprint elements. So we'll make that identical, and then we'll do this dot compute size of PCB element. Boom. As any. Okay. Let's do a quick type check. Should be 3 left. 3 left. Inductor builder. Inductor. Missed opportunity for a really cool, you know, superhero. IMO. It's dumb. Let's see. PCB component. We'll push it. Nice. PCB component. Compute the size. Yeah, I really need to refactor all this stuff. Legacy diode builder. It's not even used. Should just delete this. Sorry. This literally isn't even used. Okay, last one, power source builder. These are all just different components you can place. This is hopefully the last time we have to do this. I forgot to do my copy pasta. Okay, footprint elements. Down here we gotta push it. PCB component. Push our footprint elements, and then we can compute the size of the PCB element. Boom. Love it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Ooh, what did I do? What did I do? PCB component, blah, 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 footprint elements. Did I not save? Power source. That code doesn't exist anymore. Did I just not save? I guess I just didn't save. I don't know. Maybe it was using a cached version. Okay, it's happy on types. Should work. So we'll push this, and then we'll let CI run its tests. Make sure we're not pushing anything broken. And then we'll merge. That'll push a new version. And then we'll have the size that we can use for the overlay that allows you to drag them. So, yeah, fix types, components, all calculate their footprint size. Yeah. Soup has a lot of extra data in it to make it really easy to render. And the idea is, because it's formed kind of like a database, you can do a lot of database optimizations later. You can kind of treat it like a database. There are some flaws in that, because that transition to a database is going to be pretty tricky. But I think, you know, I think it'll happen. It'll be like some stage of the project. There's a big translation into a SQLite database or something like that. Maybe PG Lite, if PG Lite comes along enough. That's the Postgres embedded database. I think it might be a tiny bit quiet. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to risk it this late into the stream. People turn up their volume. Let's check the PR. I'm gonna see if anybody's chatting on the tweezers, on the tweeters. Just DMs. Somebody wants me to review their YC deck. I don't know why, as an applicant, it would be, you know, I don't know why I would know that much. As a likely denied applicant. I also don't, like with Twitter's tools, I don't know how to see the feed. of your chat? Do they have tools I'm not aware of? I don't know how to do it. I give up. Got to work on that Nux, new user experience. Heard that from somebody at Meta. All right, we're in good shape. Is the PR up? PRs take forever, so I just stall until I think they're probably done. Type check fails, sir. Let's make sure we're up to date. npx tsc, and then we'll do an install because we don't get this error. Argument of type blah 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 is not assignable to type of any element. Ugh, it's a really annoying one. Could be a lot of things. Could be the node version that's being used. Let's see what node version is being used. 18, that could probably be upgraded. Pretty sure I'm using a newer version. Yeah, I'm using 20. Let's try updating that. Because 18 is maybe not even node 18. I think you... Oh, it is LTS, so it's probably still somewhat valid for a little while. But they're on node 22 now, I think. We'll just upgrade node 20. Yeah. Upgrade to node 20 for CI. Cool. So we got a different error here on the test. Oh, this one is passing. Whatever. Yeah, this makes sense. So these are snapshot errors. So we just need to check that the snapshot is correct. That snapshot looked a little weird, so I'm gonna investigate that. So it says minus, but it means that it adds. But you know what's really weird is this one has width 0, height 0, so there might be a bug there. PCB component. Outer diameter, PCB plated hole. Yeah, I don't think it's correctly getting the spatial bounds. So that was an awesome test catch. Snapshots are usually useless too, IMO. They usually just annoy me, but that was an awesome catch. Oh, I tried to copy. Whoops. Let's copy that out. We'll run that test, and then, yeah, width 0, height 0. So that shouldn't be width 0, height 0. So we'll figure that out. Our compute PCB element size, to centered spatial obj. So this generically converts things to a centered spatial object based on their properties. It like just guesses at a bunch of properties. It's a very crude method. You can see there's nothing that handles outer diameter in here. So, so we can add it. Outer diameter is good to do for width. It is width and height. So we can just say object dot outer diameter or 0, and object dot outer diameter or 0. Fair game. Let's do it. Okay, so height got something, width didn't get it. Oh, I misspelled. And because this is in like some crazy generic method, it didn't catch it. Nice. Okay, cool. Does that seem weird though? Outer diameter 1.5, width and height. How does that make any sense? Width and height, outer diameter. Am I crazy? Outer diameter. Width and outer diameter are the same. Interesting. Hole diameter, outer diameter 1.5. And this change caused it to go directly. Oh, X. Okay. Let's print this out. I love a good mystery. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, it's converting it properly. let's log the PCB size. It is nice to have these nice small isolated tests because you don't really have to add much to the log line. Why? Oh. No. What? What is this? Get spatial bounds from spatial elements. To centered spatial object. What? There's no way that this is wrong. That'd be insane if this was wrong. Lx minus w divided by 2. So this stands for left x, left y, most likely. So left x, left y. We subtract the height divided by 2, the width divided by 2. So that should be negative 0.75. And then we get the, or it could be low and high. So low x, high x. Okay. So that makes sense. That's fine. And then we go through each element. And we say Lx equals Lx minus x. There's only one element though, right? There's only one element, so it's stuck here. And then for some reason we divide it by 2. That's taking the average, that's fine. Hx minus Lx. This should be 1.5 wait a second. Lx, in our example, let's just do x really quick. This should be 0 minus 1.5 divided by 2 is equal to negative 0.75. This is skipped. There's only one element. So then your width is negative is... Oh, this should be... That's crazy that that was wrong. I don't even want to know what's going to happen. This method is all over the place. Okay, that's right now. That was just wrong. That's so interesting. I wonder what downstream consequences that's going to have, because all this... Oh! That's why... I was wondering in the playground why this was broken. That was on my bucket list, or not my bucket list, but it was on my laundry list. Oh, come on. Yeah, I was wondering why this was being drawn like this. That's got to be why. Whew, oh my gosh. Wow, that was such an annoying bug. So we can do, so the snapshot is still failing, but that's just because we need to say, hey, that's actually the right answer. So we'll just do -u. We can remove our log lines. Just making sure it doesn't output anything. There was another snapshot test that failed. But it didn't look as bad. It looks like it's computing. Like that's what I was expecting for an 0805. So we will just run that and update. Spark from footprints. Okay. Paste. Update. Go, go, go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Update, snapshot, tests, fix major bug with spatial bounds calculation. Crazy that that wasn't caught. That's why I have so many sub projects for graphing things out and making sure the spaces are right. You never know. Sometimes you make a little bug. Oops. That's probably because, I don't know. I don't know why I have merge conflict. I do like to have bots that automatically commit things, but oh, what's going on here? Git push origin. Oh, I keep saying origin main PCB component size. Gosh darn it. PCB component size. I need some aliases over here. There we go. I haven't worked on branches in a little bit. I really want to get a little Spotify indicator because I have great song tastes and none of them are showing up. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's in this right ear. It's Alex G. All right, we're doing it. So hopefully these pass. It's a really big bug fix. I should have added to the title. With height calculation for PCB component, fix schematic spatial bounds calculation. It's probably going to fix a lot of tracing issues too, because I think traces were kind of going through things. That's probably going to fix a lot of issues. Also probably break some things. The problem with having a lot of code is there's just a lot of opportunity for bugs. Nice, everything passed. We're going to merge it with semantic versioning fix, because everything is a fix. Everything is a fix until further notice. All points bulletin. There was a game, All Points Bulletin, in like, I don't know, 2012, and it was awesome, I think. And yeah, I loved it. It was like a free to play. Also, Shattered Galaxy, another classic hit. Yeah, I would definitely, if somebody, you know what? Okay, here's a startup idea. You reboot these classic games, but with AI players that make the world feel alive. You would need a lot of data maybe from the classic games, but that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. If people spent a lot of time building out decent bot interactions and stuff, that'd be really fun, you know. And it's iterated plays too. Yeah, in general, just filling up those worlds that are lost. I think Guild Wars was another. It was like one of the first MMOs. I might be getting the name wrong, but it'd be cool to see some of those, play some of those oldies. Sometimes the pacing of old games kind of bugs me though. It's a little too slow. We're waiting for this to publish. That's what's going on right now. Once it's published, I'm going to add it to PCB Viewer. I can manually add it, but why bother when I can, you know, riff until it publishes? GitHub doesn't auto update, so I just got to keep refreshing this page till I see semantic release. No YC update yet. I'm guessing it's going to come in like the next hour and a half. A little bit nerve-wracking. But, you know, what can you do? You go out there, you do your thing. Just got to try to be an unstoppable force. And then hopefully, if you're unstoppable enough, people will see that and they'll go, he's an unstoppable force. He or she is an unstoppable force. And I should get out of the way or get in the way in a positive way. Oh, more reloading. Did I do this wrong? Why does it say Sevi Ibar and semantic release? Is this a new thing? Let's check our last publish time. Package TS circuit / builder. It's like the virtual DOM package. Am I? How do these How do the paths work? I can click on dependencies here. There we go. Oh, you have to do at TS circuit builder. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. When was it last published? 2 days ago. So it definitely didn't publish. Did my integration break? What's going on? Fix. 2 days ago. No release. Interesting. Co-authored by Semantic Release Bot. Also, what is this old PR? April 19th fixes. Are these important? Oh, it's starting to do silkscreen. Oh, and I fixed the layers. Oh, that's annoying. It's gonna break everything. Yay. I could probably do this after. It would be cool to do silkscreen today too. Silkscreen, pretty important. Let's see, width height calculation for PCB components. I don't know why this didn't release. I think in the PR content, there might be something where the bot interacted with it, because I was also having some trouble. Yeah, it like did a thing here that it shouldn't have done. On push branches main. I think it's because I pushed wrong. I don't really know. I don't know. Okay. Let's just edit this guy. This is usually the convention I use. We're doing a fake commit to get this guy to publish. Why not? Okay. Hopefully this guy publishes now. I have a different releaser for other repos called pragmatic versioning, which is my versioning scheme, which always does patches, because every commit should be a patch. Radical perspective. There's like a thing I wrote about it on Hacker News forever ago. Pragmatic versioning. But I got to use the semantic convention. Semantic is better anyway for once you get to a certain point and you want to avoid breaking things all the time. But for most projects, you know, you really just want to increment the version number each time. Okay, so now it released. I don't know what that was all about. Didn't want to release for a little bit. This is still not up to date. Maybe it didn't release. Interesting. NPM is really weird about caching. I'm kind of likely to trust this number here. Why is this not... NPM semantic release, update readme, release. Oh, it definitely released. NPM, why you know update? I don't know what's going on. KO, give up. Let's just try to install. So we go to PCB Viewer and install a new version of TS Circuit Builder. I meant to attach the version number there. Let's see. Builder, what version did it install? It installed the latest version. Caching, hard problem. NPM has the least of it solved of anyone. Okay, we should have sizes now. I'm gonna close dimension overlay. I feel like I don't need it. I've surpassed that point in the project. I'm gonna log this component out just to make sure that I am getting the width I expect to be getting. Nice, width and height. So now we can add e.width and e.height. And we should expect that this centers itself because of our transform. Oh, right. We need to project this by transform A. Easy peasy. So normally you would use transform D. That's what it's recommending. But because of that axis flip and because we know it's always square, we don't have to do that. Cool. So it's totally working. We now have this red overlay over. It's not exactly obvious, so let's change the color to it. So now you can kind of see there's this overlay over the whole thing. We want to extend it a little bit beyond its bounds. So we'll add 20. So now it's like a little bit behind over the bounds. So that is your kind of clickable, draggable element. You can see that the stuff gets messed up when I drag in and out of it because it has mouse events on. So we can, there's two ways to handle mouse events. One is to put the mouse event on the div, kind of the web native way. The other way is to put it on the container and then have the container kind of control everything. And I think it's a little bit better to do it on the container because when you have a bunch of events hanging around and all these handlers, it can tend to confuse the browser or like create complexity in weird ways you don't expect, like the key changes or something like that. So I think we'll do it on the parent element. And what that means is that we can set mouse events to none or cursor. I forget what it is. Mouse cursor. I thought it was mouse events for some reason. Let's use some co-piloting. Turn off mouse events. Pointer events. The web. Who named these things? I'm doing the same. Yeah, so. Oh. Okay, it refreshed. Now we're not losing the. I feel like we are losing the cursor. It might be because of those other boxes. I think other things need it, but I don't think our boxes are causing the problem. Our new boxes. Our very ugly new boxes. I don't know the best color for these yet. I do know I probably want them to have a high Z index. Also, something fun that happens is, yeah, they go outside. So let's put an overflow hidden on this container. Make sure those don't go outside. Okay, cool. So one downside of not doing pointer events, let's see, what options do we have here? One downside. Yeah. What happens if we turn this off? So I really would like to have the cursor change. Maybe it's not, I don't know. I think whenever you go outside of it, it breaks, which is just annoying because it's covering up other stuff. So, but it would be really nice to have a drag hand. We could do the drag hand dynamically. Definitely could do the drag hand dynamic. I think I'm gonna not care about the drag hand for now. We can always worry about that later. Seems like a nice to have. Okay, so we're drawing all these in. They're always in right now, even though this isn't toggled or whatever. We could do that toggle when we take a second. But let's attack the major risks first. So if somebody clicks on this, and we're within this box, we want to stop all other mouse events. That'll prevent the screen drag from happening. Okay, so we're gonna do that. So we'll do on mouse down inside the container. We'll get the mouse position relative to the container. So I guess I lied. We do need the container bounds. So container equals container ref dot current, and then container bounds is equal to, yeah. Actually, the dimension overlay would come in handy here because I think all that math was done somewhere. Yeah. Oh, you don't even, it does it on the fly, so that's actually better. And then it inverts the transform, which is how you get to physical space, because we're gonna do the calculation to figure out what boxes we overlay with in physical space. Then we set a mouse ref. We don't have to do that last part, so we'll just copy this over, and then we actually don't need this. We might not need container ref generally, but I'll keep it there for now. Cool. So this gives us the real world point, is what that stands for. And we'll compute if it's over any boxes for now, and maybe we'll like change the color of the box just to know it's working. So for const e of soup, sure, element of soup, if e dot type is equal to PCB component. This should have narrowed the type. So now we can say, let's create a utility method, just is close. is inside of something like that. So say PCB component point. I'm gonna let Copilot do this one. Okay. Why do you have to do that? Half width. I don't know. I'm gonna let it riff. Okay. Whatever. It's a little explicit for my taste, but is inside of. If type is PCB component and is inside of E point, or sorry, not read write, real world. And then we will, I don't know. Yeah, we can do selected, set selected. Actually, what is happening? So we're moving. So let's say active PCB component ID, set active PCB component ID. Null or a string. It's initially null. It'd be nice to add a little boolean in here too. So is PC component active. Yeah. So we'll say set active PCB component to this. We'll also have to store eventually the initial offset. So if you grab it here, your cursor is going to stay fixed within that position. So that's just drag math. Got to do a little bit of drag math. So we're drawing it. We'll say, yeah, we'll vary the background. So if, or, yeah, there we go. Thank you, Copilot. Okay, so now if I click this, it's selected. If I click up here, nothing happens. If I click this, it's selected. So now we're picking the components we are dragging. Nice. So the next step is we want to, I mean, I think we can already do this. So we'll say found active component equals false. If not found active component, we'll say active component null. Right here, we'll say found active component true. And then if found active component, we'll do prevent default. So what that should do is prevent it from dragging or not. Maybe you return false. I can't totally remember. Or maybe stop event propagation or something like that. It's also possible that because of the way these are layered, this one is actually called after. So we'll want to look at the layering to determine how to fix that. Toolbar overlay, element, canvas elements. So the order, I could just raise the Z index. It might be easier to not think about the order here because it's kind of weird to determine the order here. It's not necessarily linear. It depends if the children that in here are put before and after. So it's not super straightforward. We could do the Z index of the, no, we can't because it's children. Okay, so this is going to be the parent. Yeah, okay. This is actually pretty simple. Edit overlay needs to be the parent of whatever we don't, well, whatever we want to cancel. So we want to cancel everything, I think, for the edit overlay. Still nothing. It's interesting. What handles dragging? Is it the, what handles dragging? Dimension toolbar. None of these actually handle dragging. Might be handled in here. think I know where it's handled. It's like a special thing. It's a special hook. So I know it's around here somewhere. Super grid? No. Where does this, so this transform comes from, we got to go all the way to the top. It's literally in the highest level. Canvas primitive, what calls this? Canvas, what'd I do? There we go. Transform, canvas primitive. What calls canvas elements renderer? Yeah, because transform is being passed in here. We need wherever that transform is created, because that's the thing that's going to be. Yeah. Canvas elements renderer. Set transform. Use mouse matrix transform. Yeah, this is tricky. So I think this attaches to the window to prevent interruption. So we'll want some way of preventing that from happening. And I think I could have this emit a function like cancel drag, like that. And then you could call that in your event handler, cancel drag. I think that should work. So on the mouse down here, we'll call cancel drag. Any drag that was initiated or will be initiated within the next like 10 milliseconds, we could cancel that out. So I think that's how we'll solve that problem. I think I gotta prep for some stuff today. So I think I'm gonna cut this a tiny bit short, but thanks for tuning in if you tuned in. And hopefully we hear from YC today. Very exciting.